The reignited war in Syria is the latest fallout from the turmoil that has gripped the Middle East since the Hamas attacks on Israel on the 7th of October last year. Rebel forces in Syria have taken control of much of Aleppo, including the city's airport, following a surprise offensive that reawakened the country's stalled civil war. But the fighting poses the most serious challenge in years to President Bashar al-Assad, and Syrian and Russian jets have stepped up retaliatory strikes over the weekend, especially on Sunday. The rebel success so far is being considered a direct consequence of wars elsewhere, as per many analysts. My colleague Mohammad Ghazali has been tracking all the details for us very closely. He joins us live at the moment. Ghazali, take us through the latest developments.
See, the rebels have taken control of Aleppo, as we know, and Idlib as well. Most parts of Aleppo and Idlib are under their control, but the regime forces, that say the forces of Bashar al-Assad in Syria, are still saying that perhaps the aerial strikes being carried out by Russia in support of Assad has also able to thwart these attempts by the rebels to take control of the situation. But the visuals coming out from the region certainly shows that the regime forces were certainly taken by surprise by the way these rebel forces have been marching there. And if you see the sequence of events and how it happened, just a couple of days after Israel announced, or United States brokered the ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel, Israeli Prime Minister Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu had threatened Mr. Assad that he's playing with fire. And just after that, the moment the ceasefire was brokered, it was announced that now there will be no ceasefire violation. There will be no attacks from either side. The rebels certainly started attacking positions of the Syrian army in Syria. But what is more threatening right now and how it is different from 2011 Arab Spring and the developments after that is that this time around, there are multiple groups who have been fighting against Assad's army in Syria. And back then in 2011 and 12, we had seen the rise of ISIS there, the rise of many extremist elements in Syria, which led to sectarian violence, which led to violence against minorities who are Kurds, who are not Sunnis, Shias. So this time around, Assad has certainly been caught by surprise. He flew to Moscow a couple of days ago before this attack started, and he was asking for assistance from Russia, and that is when the Russia is already invested in Ukraine's war, but it had to divert resources here, and aerial strikes have somewhere thwarted the attempt of the rebel forces. But it looks very unlikely that how long can they continue to push back the rebel forces now, because even there have been reports emerging from the area that, like what we see in Afghanistan, when Taliban was approaching towards Kabul, a lot of the Afghani forces had surrendered their posts. And this is exactly what is being reported from some of the areas in Aleppo and Idlib, that how the forces just left the spot with their weapons, with their ammunition, and the rebel forces are gaining that as well. So it is going to be very challenging times in the next 24 to 48 hours to see the approach and progress of these rebel forces, that whether they'll continue to make a push beyond Idlib, beyond Aleppo, or whether they will be contained there by the aerial strikes from Russia.
As always, Ghazali, thank you so much for contextualizing the latest details for us.